Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and I have some good news and I have some bad news when it comes to a bunch of injury updates that I'm giving y'all today. Definitely a bit of both. But the Washington Commanders also went out and signed an athletic freak at tight end to potentially replace Zach Ertz for this upcoming Eagles game. We're going to dive into who he is and what's going on with this whole injury situation, because we have a few major injuries to some starters leading up to this Eagles game that we need to discuss. And before we dive into everything, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinion video just like this one. Make sure you go check out that Commanders Kings live stream. I'm recording it before it, but most of y'all will probably end up seeing this video afterwards. So just in case if you missed it, make sure you go back and look at that live replay that we just did. Also, make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be updating y'all on everything Commanders. I have a few really exciting videos that I can't wait to get out to y'all before this Eagles game. So again, once I'm not as busy, today was another busy day. Hopefully tomorrow I can sit down and put out like 2 videos and try to go like 2 videos a day. I mean, it's that much going on. So make sure you stay tuned. Without further ado, let's go and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, Dan Quinn said to the media that he expects center Tyler Biadasz to be available Sunday versus Philadelphia. And that right there, boy, that right there is some good news, man. That's probably the best news that you're going to hear throughout this entire video. Now, there's other slight good news out there, but that's the biggest and best news of this entire video. Man, that Saints game showed us that we definitely need him big time, man. You don't realize how good you have something until you don't have it. You know, you don't miss the water till the well runs dry, and that super applies to Tyler Biadasz with his backup Michael Dieter having to go out there and start at center for us, and Tyler Biadasz is missing in action, which was just so random because it came out of nowhere. I mean, we had the practice report from last year, the injury reports and everything like that. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not even on it, good to go, full participant, no worries. Suddenly, Sunday morning, right before the game starts, Tyler Biadasz is having this talk to Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and a lot of different coaches and training staff guys, and you're already like, uh-oh, like what's going on now? And then suddenly it was said that he was dealing with a serious illness to the point that he couldn't even play in that game. And it came out of nowhere. Like, I swear to you, man, some Saints player went and got that man sick at the last second. Saturday or Sunday, found out where the Commanders were hotel-wise and made sure that at least some starter got sick or something. Because with how much of a drop-off, steep drop-off it was from Biadasz to Michael Dieter, you can't convince me that the Saints didn't do that. I'm joking, but, I mean, it was just crazy. Hopefully somebody watching this video, go find out where Tyler Biadasz is and send them cases of Campbell's chicken noodle soup or something like that. Remember, we went and hired their ex-CEO, now ex-CEO, to be our team president on the business side of things. He's basically the Adam Peters of the business side. So, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Somebody hit him up for some Campbell chicken noodle soup. I'm pretty sure he has a plug to get it to him for free. Whatever we got to do, man, get Tyler Biadasz back onto that field, man. That Saints game showed everybody that Biadasz is for real playing at a Pro Bowl level, because we never even had to worry about the middle of the offensive line that much, anywhere near that much before that Saints game. And you know who else really misses Tyler Biadasz? Jaden Daniels. I don't know if y'all noticed, if y'all have gone back and looked at the game and things like that, look at the replay. Maybe after you're done with this video, go look at what I'm talking about, or even just pause it right now and go look it up. But there was that play where Jaden Daniels scrambled for like a ridiculous 24 yards, like dipping and dodging all of the Saints defenders. It was some magical stuff to the level that like maybe only Lamar Jackson is like the only other quarterback in the entire NFL that could have pulled that off. That was a Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson play only, nobody else. But at the end of it, while everybody else is celebrating and telling them like, yeah, man, good, like go crazy, like thank you type of thing, Jaden Daniels took time out of, instead of celebrating, first of all, trying to hurry and get everybody back up to the line of scrimmage, but he also stopped and like got to Michael Dieter's face and kind of yelled at him a little bit like, yo, get it together. Like, I shouldn't even have to go do things like that. That should have been a normal drop back, scan the field, throw the ball to a receiver play. But now I'm out here looking like prime Michael Vick because you can't block the guy in front of you for at least 2 seconds. So Even Jaden Daniels misses Tyler Biadasz. If anybody realizes how much this offense misses Tyler Biadasz, it's Jaden Daniels above all else. He looked very frustrated, even after a magical play like that, probably now he can sit down and really, truly appreciate what he did on that play. But live, he did not appreciate what he did on that play. All he could think of was, why did I even have to do all of that? And then he just immediately laser sight locked on to Michael Dieter walking up to catch up with him because he ran off. So all of the offensive line has to catch up to get to the new line of scrimmage after the 24-yard scramble. He's literally looking back at Michael Dieter like, hey, let me talk to you real quick because you just tried to set me up. He had Jaden Daniels out there looking like Willie Beeman from Any Given Sunday for a minute, man. It was bad. And I don't think Jaden Daniels did anything to deserve that, unlike Willie Beeman. So, hey, Michael Dieter, hopefully we never have to see you at center for us. I mean, I guess decent backup option, but he should not be a starter by any means necessary at this point. We just saw that against the Saints. Now, granted, the Saints do have a really good defensive line, but I mean, I would argue the Titans' defensive line from left to right, from tackle to tackle, is overall maybe slightly better than the Saints' defensive line. You could argue maybe. I mean, it's just whether you like Cameron Jordan or Jeffrey Simons more. I mean, but even so, like Chase Young was out there hooping against Brandon Coleman compared to like a Harold Landry. It's completely up to you. But either way, they're very comparable. They're very comparable. But at the same time, against the Titans, they made them look like the worst defensive line in football throughout that game, how easily we could run the ball. And the only difference was we swapped out Tyler Biadasz for Michael Dieter. Also, Cornelius Lucas for Andrew Wiley, but Andrew Wiley was not to blame for a lot of the problems that we had against the Saints, especially on the offensive line side of things. That was mostly Michael Dieter. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that we allowed 8 sacks in a game without Tyler Biadasz. Now, it wasn't all Dieter's fault, but we also couldn't even run the ball up the middle. When was the last time you've seen Brian Robinson run outside of the tackles that much? It was a mix of he tried to run up the middle, but then it was clogged because Michael Dieter was getting whooped so bad that he had to take it to the outside. And then it also got to a certain point where Cliff Kingsbury was like, well, I'm going to stop calling run plays up the middle. How about we just call outside of the tackle run plays? We might as well just go ahead and start throwing sweeps, throw tosses and things like that into rounds with De'Ami Brown at this point, because up the middle is done for the rest of this game. That's why that boy Brian Robinson was held to 3.1 yards per carry. He ran 20 times for only 4.5 yards. Honestly, the only real run game we had was Jaden Daniels making something out of nothing with his legs. That was like the real part of our run game. Us calling pass plays and then Jaden Daniels just making magic with his legs. That was it. But like trying to run the ball up the middle with Brian Robinson was done. So I was upset with Cliff Kingsbury for not running the ball a little bit more. But at the same time, how can you blame the guy? Now moving on. Also, Dan Quinn said that Zane Gonzalez is close to playing. He was actually close to playing against the New Orleans Saints. But enough questions with his plant foot remain to keep him out. He will be the kicker if deemed healthy enough against the Eagles. But it just seems safe to assume that he will play against the Eagles and be our kicker instead of Greg Joseph, with the fact that Dan Quinn said he was close to playing against the Saints. So I'm assuming with another week to get a little bit healthier, to recover a little, he should be good to go against the Eagles. So just to let you know, Zane Gonzalez may end up being our starting kicker for the Eagles. And even though Zane Gonzalez ain't the best thing doing it, I still prefer him over Greg Joseph, even if it's just very slightly. So I guess that is technically positive news, but it's nowhere near as positive as Tyler Biadasz, going from Tyler Biadasz to Michael Dieter and back to Tyler Biadasz. Nowhere. I mean, that is way more of an impact for our team in a positive direction than going from Zane Gonzalez to Greg Joseph back to Zane Gonzalez. So again, I guess it's positive news, but only to a certain extent, because we need a new kicker for 2025, this upcoming offseason. Our kicker that will be our starting kicker in 2025 is not currently on this roster right now. Neither Zane Gonzalez nor Greg Joseph are long-term answers for the Commanders at kicker. We're going to have to get it through free agency, draft, whatever, undrafted free agent, something, but whoever's on this roster right now, it may not even necessarily be Austin Seibert. Like, even with him on injured reserve, he may not be our long-term answer either, so we'll see what happens there. But then the bad news came. Dan Quinn addressed the media and said that both Zach Ertz and Jeremy Chin are in concussion protocol. And if I had to guess, I would assume that neither of those two actually end up playing against the Eagles this Sunday. If I had to assume, I'm just going to assume Not, I mean, every time we've had a guy in concussion protocol, they just haven't played the next game. Everybody, I think Andrew Wiley dealt with it at one point. Of course, we've had Austin Eckler. I feel like we had somebody else. I don't know. I still don't understand how that one Giants running back, the Tyrone Tracy kid, like how he had a concussion and somehow played the very next game. And that was like a short week. So I think I think they played Monday night and then he played the next Sunday. So it was like technically a short week. I don't know how he did it, but every time any of our players have had concussions in a game, they did not play the next game. They would come back a week or two later. So I don't know what's going on there with other teams, but I know for us, I don't know if it's just our training staff always erring on the side of caution, which I prefer. Do that. Hold them out. If there's even a slight, if it's 50-50, or if there's even a slight chance that they're still showing concussion symptoms, I would err on the side of caution every time. I care about these guys even beyond football, outside of football. So I don't know what the Giants are doing over there, but I'm happy that the Commanders are doing what we're doing. But game-wise, it's not looking good for Jeremy Chinn nor Zach Ertz right now. And, I mean, this really does suck for us, y'all, because we saw Derek Forrest get abused quite a bit in coverage the last 7 minutes of that game, and he will more than likely be the one that plays more with Jeremy Chinn potentially out versus the Eagles. And then Zach Ertz being gone is terrible because, I mean, we were already down our third and fourth top receivers on the team when it comes to like receptions and yards and everything like that. Even if you want to just keep it the yards only, Noah Brown was our third leading receiver. He's out for potentially the rest of the season. Austin Eckler was our fourth leading receiver. He's out for potentially the rest of the season as well. And then you had Zach Ertz, who was our second leading receiver, got hurt in the middle of that game against the Saints, so will more than likely be out against the Eagles. So just to let you know, our second, third, and fourth leading receivers are all potentially going to be out against the Saints. Against the Eagles. I'm assuming we will not have all three. So right now, all we have is Terry McLaurin, our number one receiver, and then the second, third, and fourth guys are all gone. So now the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth all got to move up. And they got to all step up in the place of the guys that are gone ahead of them. And, I mean, I immediately think of Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury there because, I mean, that's a lot to lose, man. Most teams can't lose their second, third, and fourth leading receivers this late in the season and still expect to win games while trying to make the playoffs and to keep the offense efficient, consistent, keeping the chains moving, putting up points, being explosive. You know how hard it is to be explosive when the other team literally knows all we want to do is get the ball to Terry McLaurin. And somehow he was still getting open against the Saints, even though Jaden Daniels was missing them deep down the field a couple of times. But somehow Terry McLaurin was finding a way to get open, even with our top weapons all gone except for Terry McLaurin. So maybe Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels can still figure it out. But that's just a really tough ask of an offensive coordinator and a quarterback to try to be efficient and explosive without your second, third, and fourth receiver. Matter of fact, let's put it like this. Zach Ertz, Noah Brown, and Austin Eckler accounted for 46% of the team's targets this season up until that Saints game. So that is crazy. Pretty much 50% of the offense is now gone leading up to this Eagles game. That is scary business. I'm not going to lie. Remember, last time we played the Eagles, we had Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler and Noah Brown, I believe. Now we're going to be without all three of those guys when we rematch them. And we had them, I believe, all three of them against the Eagles. So, and we lost that game. So, and our offense looked terrible that game. We'll see how it goes this time around. But it's hard to be optimistic. But at the same time, because of the Zach Ertz injury, maybe there's some optimism here because Ian Rappaport tweeted that the Commanders have signed veteran tight end Tyree Jackson to their practice squad. Source said, just to let you know, he spent some time with the Giants last year. Jackson spent 2021 and 2022 with the Eagles and then some time with the Giants last year, but he was not on any NFL roster this year at any point, I believe. He's just been literally sitting on the couch waiting to get a call all season so far. So you're already just like, well, how good can he even possibly be if he was available this long? All of these NFL teams out there that need tight ends, at the very least need tight end depth. Why was this guy not on anybody's squad this entire time until we just called him up? So that's definitely a concern. He's definitely very raw right there. But remember, this guy left college as a quarterback, but then realized he wasn't going to make it in the NFL as a quarterback. So then he switched to tight end. So here's his relative athletic score at quarterback coming out of Buffalo. Elite grade, 9.95 out of 10. Insane. Elite explosion, good agility, elite size, and elite speed, right? But that's quarterback. So I know y'all are questioning, well, why does that even matter? If he's an elite athlete at the quarterback position, but we need him to play tight end, what is his relative athletic score at tight end, right? Well, before we even get to that, basically, we're doing like an Armani Rogers thing here again. But with that comes elite athleticism. Because even when you switch his relative athletic score calculator to the tight end position from quarterback with those exact same combine testing and measurement results, he still has a 9.83 out of 10. I mean, it went down slightly, but still the height is elite. The only thing really holding him back is that he's a little underweight for the tight end position. But if you're looking at him as like a receiving tight end, basically a glorified big receiver option, a big red zone threat, a big chain mover, then you're not even necessarily worried about that weight, especially if you don't expect him to block much. But with the way that this offense works, the way that Cliff Kingsbury wants to run this offense, especially with that Anthony Lynn infused run game and Bobby Johnson bringing some of his run game strategy stuff from the Giants as well, we need our tight ends to be dual threat. We need you to be able to block and receive, because we don't want defenses knowing what we're doing just by you basically literally just being on the field. Like, oh no, Tyree Jackson's on the field, so we know they're not running the ball, or at the very least, if they are, they're not going to run it to his side, so we could cheat this way. Because, you know, it's just little things like that, like we used to deal with Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis and Jeremy Sprinkle. Remember that season? Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis on the field, they knew we were throwing the ball, because we better not try to run it with those guys being the lead blocker or trying to block any edge rusher out there or outside linebacker. And then when Jeremy Sprinkle's on the field, we must be running it, because there's no way we're going to throw him the ball with the Butterfingers. So defenses would just cheat and be like, all right, we're going to stop the run. And even if you think about passing it, you're not going to throw it to him, are you? Ain't no way you thinking about throwing it to Jeremy Butterfinger Sprinkle, right? So, you know, you got to be dual threat just in the NFL in general. But Cliff Kingsbury's offense infused with Anthony Lynn, Bobby Johnson, and even Brian Callahan concepts that he brought over from the Eagles, dual threat tight ends really, really matter. This offense can't do what it does without the tight end being a dual threat to the defense and not automatically telegraphing what we plan on doing just by certain people being on the field. Oh, it looks like we're running the ball. Oh, it looks like we're passing the ball. So that's just my whole rant that I'm going on about the weight. That is a problem. You know, I'm not about to sit there and gloss over that. 249 pounds doesn't sound like he can potentially block, which also sounds like you don't really have a place in this offense. But either way, elite 40-yard dash, elite 20-yard split, 10-yard split, a decent vertical, but a great broad jump, a great shuttle, and a pretty good three cone. This is an athletic freak, even when you move him to tight end, but at the same time, this is still a guy converting from quarterback to tight end. So, to be completely honest, I don't think this Jackson guy we just signed will contribute much against the Eagles with Zach Ertz out. First of all, I highly doubt he even plays at all. I highly doubt he even sees the field for us, probably even this entire season, because I'm assuming Zach Ertz will be healthy by the time we play the Falcons next Sunday, not this upcoming Sunday, but the Sunday after that. But this game against the Eagles, there's no way he's caught up on the offense enough to be able to play. There's just no way. There's just absolutely no way, especially with him being so raw at the tight end position, let alone learning the offense to be able to even go out there and play. So to be for real, John Bates and Ben Sinnott are going to have to step up for us in both blocking and receiving in this upcoming Eagles game. It's time for Ben Sinnott and those guys to put on their big boy pants. And it's also time for Cliff Kingsbury to start to target those guys a little bit more. I believe Ben Sinnott had like that one target, that one catch for a little bit of yards. It didn't even end up going for a first down. It picked up a decent chunk, but that's it. That man is like 3 for 3 on catches, and like one of them is a tight touchdown or something like that. But hopefully, KJ Osborne is also ready to play this weekend, because he was a healthy scratch against the Saints since he wasn't up to speed to Cliff Kingsbury's offense yet. Just like how Noah Brown didn't play week 1 against the Buccaneers, and then again, KJ Osborne didn't play against the Saints. That's another reason why I feel like Tyree Jackson will not play against the Eagles. There's no way he comes in just right off the couch and is ready to go out there and play meaningful snaps in the game against the Eagles within just 1 week. I highly doubt it. But my main point is, though, there will not just be one person that directly steps up in place of Zach Ertz against the Eagles. It will probably be like a combination of several guys, some receivers sharing his targets, some of the other tight ends being out there and blocking in place of him. I'm expecting everybody's snaps to go up just very slightly. Everybody's going to pretty much split them up, divide them up amongst each other. And it's really annoying, too, because the play that Zach Ertz got hurt on was such a great play. I mean, he had a one-handed catch for a first down to set us up at 1st and goal, but then ended up hitting his head on the ground or something, whatever happened. And then it went from being such a great moment to such a sad moment so quickly. And now it's even worse because you realize that we will more than likely not even have him to when we go up against the Eagles this weekend. So, but even just going back to Tyree Jackson real quick, basically, like I said with the Marnie Rogers situation, he's basically like another experiment at tight end. That's what it seems like. So if this franchise has more patience with Jackson than they did with my boy Armani Rogers, then maybe he can blossom into something great down the line. We're talking about 2025 and beyond. But to keep it 100 down with y'all, I don't think Tyree Jackson is going to give the Commanders anything in 2024 at all. Definitely not against the Eagles within less than a week, let alone, again, I don't think he's going to give us anything in 2024, period, even in the playoffs. This is just a practice squad body. So today-wise, 2024-wise, we signed him to be a practice squad body because we just need to have enough tight ends to rotate in practice until Zach Ertz gets back, just even for the defense to practice against. And then 2025 and beyond-wise, we'll see if he ends up sticking onto the roster or coming back to the roster or whatever. But right now, again, he's on the practice squad. He's not even on a 53-man roster, so he's not even eligible to play even if we wanted to. So we'll see how that goes. And then moving on to Jeremy Chinn, as far as that goes, like I mentioned earlier, we saw how much Derek Forrest was in that game the last 7 minutes after he knocked out Jeremy Chinn and literally pretty much just took over his spot, what it seemed like. Like pretty much most of the Jeremy Chinn snaps after he went out went to Derek Forrest, who was literally the guy that knocked him out of the game, which is absolutely crazy. But I feel like it's pretty much safe to assume that Derek Forrest will more than likely end up playing a lot versus the Eagles with Jeremy Chinn out. But I'm also assuming that we'll probably throw Percy Butler and Noah Benogany out there more often as well. Because I don't think one specific person will like directly inherit all of Jeremy Chinn's snaps. Just like what we talked about with Zach Ertz. It will probably be like a collection of guys that will split them up amongst each other. Maybe not evenly, but they will be split up. Just naturally, like with Lattimore being out there, that showed us that allowed Jeremy Chinn to play in the box more than he had the previous 13 games that we played. But if Jeremy Chinn is now taking on that role with Marshawn Lattimore on the field, then that means we're more than likely going to throw another guy that could probably potentially play in the box to take up most of his snaps now that he's not playing back in coverage like he did most of the time the past 13 weeks before Marshawn Lattimore was out there. So that's why I'm thinking Derek Forrest will receive probably the largest uptake in snaps compared to what he's done so far this season. But I also think Percy Butler will play significantly more. And then Noah Benogany, he already plays a lot, will probably play even more just slightly. So that's probably how they're going to divide it up right there. But I'm assuming if we're talking about like a percentage increase from how many snaps they used to play to how many snaps they'll play against the Eagles, I think Derek Forrest is going to see the largest increase. But even just going back to Noah Benogany real quick, shouts out to Steve at Air Raid Concepts on Twitter for pointing this out. A 24-year-old Noah Benogany is 5th in yards per reception allowed in the NFL right now, 4th in yards per target allowed, and 9th in man coverage success rate. So all of the advanced stats say that Noah Benogany is a top 10, arguably top 5 corner in the NFL right now. And mind you, he's only 24 years old. That's insane. So if you're trying to find out, look around like who may play more with Jeremy Chinn out, coverage-wise, I would bet Noah Benogany. Box-wise, I would assume maybe some more Derek Forrest. But again, I think Percy Butler will also be in the mix as well. And then also, before we get up out of here, the Commanders also placed practice squad running back Kazmir Allen on the injured reserve. Dan Quinn told us, like, I think this past Friday, that that he hurt himself even days before that, and now he's on the injured reserve. So that's it for that, at least for like the next 4 weeks. That's it for the season, really, for him, unless maybe at some point in the playoffs he plays or something or comes back healthy. But he hasn't played for us, I believe, at all this season, not even a single snap. So I'm not expecting him to return from injury and then suddenly play for the first time all season. But also, I want to point out the fact that the Commanders basically placed Kazmir Allen on the injured reserve to open up a roster spot for Tyree Jackson, since Zach Ertz will more than likely be out against the Eagles. It seems like if Zach Ertz didn't get hurt, maybe they just let Kazmir Allen chill and not even put him on the injured reserve. But then they realized they were looking at the entire roster and was like, we got to find some room somewhere. We got to bring on another tight end since Zach Ertz is hurt. So somebody got to go. And they were just like, well, Kazmir Allen's already hurt. Plus, he doesn't play much this season, if at all. It's like we might as well just go ahead and put him on the injured reserve. This pretty much was probably like a good excuse to go ahead and throw him on there to create another roster spot anyway, even if Zach Ertz never got hurt. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, and still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. I really appreciate all of y'all for staying tuned. I'm like, if you made it this far in the video, I salute you. You are the GOAT, man. Really appreciate that. Again, do not leave this video without leaving a like. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video, especially our injury situation leading up to the Eagles. Now, of course, I will have y'all updated on every injury situation even starting tomorrow after we have our first practice and injury report tomorrow, as in Wednesday, December 18th. And then Thursday, we're going to get another one. And then Friday, we're going to get the final one, and it'll say who's out, questionable, doubtful, good to go, all of that type of stuff. So I'm going to have y'all updated on that every single day. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And again, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the injury situation leading up to the Eagles. Are you still confident that we can maybe beat them now that it's a home game for us? We're playing them in Landover rather than Philly. And then let me know how you feel about this Tyree Jackson kid. Is this another Armani Rogers experiment that's doomed to fail? Let me know how you feel about all of that. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.